Hello everyone, and welcome to the last installment of the Teaching the Curriculum Through Food video series in partnership with Farm to Cafeteria Canada. In this last video, we're going to explore strategies for preparing food right in the classroom. These ideas and concepts should be suitable and easily adaptable for students from kindergarten to grade 8. Separately, you'll be able to check out one additional resource video where we'll demonstrate some of our favorite tools and how we guide students through these activities. We've once again used some examples from our own programming, which you're welcome to borrow or adapt in any way. For many students, food-based learning leaves a lasting impression and one that impacts one of the most important long-term aspects of food literacy, creating positive food attitudes. Children need exposure to new foods in order to get comfortable eating a variety of foods, and this simply isn't happening at home for many children in Canada. Providing these opportunities in school helps them to learn positive approaches to trying and eating new foods. So before we start, we can't talk about preparing food with children in the classroom or anywhere else without talking about the importance of food safety. Before you plan any activity where you will be preparing or eating food with children, please talk to someone in public health, like your school's public health nurse, or at the very least, someone with an up-to-date Safe Food Handler's certification to make sure you are identifying and considering any and all food safety issues before designing and planning your food activity. In any activity using food in the classroom, the more organization and thought at the planning stage generally results in an easier, more impactful, and fun activity for everyone involved. Some questions to ask yourself before you start planning. What do you want your students to learn from the activity? Do you have access to a sink where children can easily wash their hands before and throughout the activity? Can you wash dishes there as well, or do you need a separate sink? Where will you store food that needs to be kept cold or hot? And how far is it from where the activity will be taking place? Where can you prepare any ingredients before the session? Do you have the right equipment and the right amount of equipment for the activity? Do you have enough adult support for adequate supervision? How much time do you have, and what happens if things go longer than planned? Have you made the recipes before, and do you know what they'll taste like in the end? Can you memorize the steps before you lead others through the recipe or activity? Are you excited about what you're making? Because if you're not excited about what you're making in class, it's not really fair for the kids to be expected to be excited about what they've made either. Although more work, cooking in the classroom can provide a very memorable experience for students. There really is no safe shortcut or way to make it easy or simple. But the more organized you are, the smoother and easier your activity will feel. At Growing Chefs, we break down each recipe into 3 broad steps or sections: get organized, get prepped, and get cooking. We have chosen to take this approach because it helps to identify opportunities for children to participate. Try using this method to help identify where you want to involve participants in any activity based on what you want them to learn. Depending on the age of your students, maybe you'll have all the organization done ahead of time and just bring them in for cutting up a few ingredients or mixing everything together. The first step is called Get Organized. This step includes gathering needed ingredients and equipment, washing fruits and vegetables or herbs, reading through the recipe instructions, and can include some preparation like pre-cooking pasta or rice, etc. When looking to involve very young children, like pre-K to primary age students, in cooking, we advise parents and caregivers to begin by involving them at this stage of a recipe. This could involve reading the list of ingredients and equipment together and having children gather those items from the pantry and fridge or equipment from the drawers and cupboards. Or they can match items you've already gathered with an ingredient list on a recipe. Helping to get organized can familiarize children with different ingredients and equipment. It also helps them to begin to understand what types of ingredients and equipment are used in different recipes. In many cases, simply familiarizing themselves with a variety of ingredients can help to develop food knowledge. As a next step, read the recipe instructions together and review the different steps to help develop the concept of following instructions in a sequential order. The second section is Get Prepped. This is where we prepare ingredients before cooking. This could include measuring ingredients, cutting and chopping vegetables, fruit, or proteins, making doughs, juicing citrus, and can include some cooking, like making fillings, toasting spices, etc. Some children are ready to take part in food preparation as young as 4 years old, but for the majority of children, the primary years are the perfect time to really get kids involved in this section. For primary age students, we recommend having students execute 1 or 2 steps in the Get Prepped or Get Cooking section of a recipe. We find children at this age can carry out 1 to 2 tasks before they will need to take a break or be given instructions again. This could involve measuring or mixing, pouring, stirring, and eventually beginning to peel, grate, and chop. Baked goods like breads or cookies are great for involving kids in measuring ingredients, and it is generally easy to spread the act of measuring ingredients out in a way that can give everyone something to do. Many steps in the Get Prepped stage of a recipe can be made into a task to involve many students at this age. In order to organize the activity so that you have a task for everyone, consider identifying how each task is actually many smaller tasks. For example, measuring a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon can actually be divided into 5 tasks for up to 5 students. Child 1 can read the recipe out loud. Child 2 can find the cinnamon. Child 3 can find the 1/4 teaspoon in the measuring spoon set and scoop the cinnamon so it's full and overflowing. Child 4 can take a stir stick or a fork or a spoon and level the cinnamon and add it to the bowl. And Child 5 can wipe up any spilled cinnamon and put the cinnamon away. This process works great for making dips and spreads, stir-fry sauces, popcorn toppings, a glaze for pumpkin seeds, or even a quick pickle. If you prepare a variety of fruits and vegetables ahead of time, students can dip and taste their dressings, sauces, and dips together. With this approach, you will need to do 95% of the setup and cooking yourself, but even though the kids play such a small part, they will feel involved and develop a sense of ownership over the finished product. Working with children in junior and intermediate grades, you can plan for them to do multiple steps or tasks to stay engaged for longer periods of time. You can apply the cinnamon example above, but only plan for 2 students to complete all of the steps that we reviewed. As they get familiar with this process, you can start introducing tools like peelers, safe choppers, and even paring knives. When working with older students, it is still good to consider each step of the recipe in detail. For example, measuring a cup of coconut milk involves the following steps: finding the coconut milk, finding the can opener, finding a bowl to pour or measure into, finding the measuring cups, opening the can, accurately measuring 1 cup, neatly pouring it into a bowl, cleaning up any spilled coconut milk, putting the leftovers away, putting the measuring cups and the can opener back where they go in a dirty dish bin, or get ready to reuse. And of course, recycle the can. The final step in the way we organize our recipes is Get Cooking. This step is the final preparation or assembly of the finished product. It can be as simple as combining ingredients for salads, dips, or spreads, or more complex by cooking with heat, i.e. stir-frying, steaming, or baking. When cooking in the classroom, we use butane camp stoves. They're compact, light, and safe to use as long as you have proper supervision. Kids are generally more excited about participating than watching a cooking demonstration. So if your activity is mainly demonstrating, look for ways to safely incorporate tasks for students, such as organizing prepped ingredients or having them tell you what should be added next based on the recipe instructions. If you're using stoves in your classroom, it's really important to make sure that you have thought through every single step and you have all your ingredients and equipment ready to go, because you never want to have to walk away from a hot stove to get something you forgot. Some examples of Growing Chefs activities where food is prepared in the classroom and students participate in the Get Cooking portion of the recipes. For primary students, our chef team prepares fruits and vegetables into fun shapes for students so they can create a picture with them. Apples, grapes, carrots, cucumbers, pears, plums, and even melons can all be cut into various shapes and provide a variety of colors for children to use. For junior and intermediate students, something like a salad recipe competition may be more exciting. For this activity, the get organized and get prepped stage of the recipes are completed by our chef team, which includes washing and cutting ingredients ahead of time and storing them in separate containers. Students are then divided into teams to complete the get cooking section of their recipe by assembling their salads. Tips for making your food activity more engaging for students. Make sure everyone has a task, no matter how simple. Anticipate what can go wrong and have a backup plan, like having backup ingredients in case something spills. Take all steps to avoid cross-contamination. Make sure you have enough adult support and supervision. Give yourself extra time for preparation and cleanup. Make sure you accommodate any allergies or dietary restrictions in your class. Try to choose approachable foods for your students, but don't be afraid to challenge them with new foods too. Make the activity age appropriate and adaptable to different skill levels. The more set up and organized you are, the more students will feel like this experience is special. We put a lot of emphasis on making sure cutting boards, equipment, and ingredients are set up in an organized and neat fashion to encourage a positive experience. You can decant spices and ingredients from larger containers into bowls, so when children are measuring, they don't contaminate the whole jar if things get mixed together. Or if a whole bowl gets spilled by accident, you'll still have backup. Get 10 times the containers and bowls that you'll think you'll need, and then grab a few extra too. And remember to keep fruits and vegetables separated in different containers after you've cut them up. This will help keep them fresh longer, but also students can be very sensitive when foods become mixed and can often taste the difference. Remember to keep the activity positive. Mistakes and messes are going to happen, but that's okay. We really hope that these ideas will help you to provide some food-based learning in your classroom. Providing opportunities for children to interact with whole foods and foods they may not be exposed to at home is so important in developing food literacy. In other words, your efforts in providing food-based learning opportunities are worth it. Thank you for making this extra effort. So thank you so much for following along with us through this video series. I hope you found some helpful information, tips, and resources to help you bring more food education activities into your classroom. Please continue to explore the Farm to Cafeteria Canada website for new food literacy content. Also, you can visit growingchefsontario.ca to learn more about our programs and resources. Thank you so much again for watching, and thank you for supporting food education.